Risks of federalism for American democracy. First point, inequality among states. States like Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Minnesota, and California, with high levels of resources and revenue, have better education and health care services, and poorer states like Alabama, West Virginia, and Mississippi struggle to provide sound education and health care. As a result, federalism leads to disparity in service. Federal states implement their own policies which create unequal opportunities for residents. For example, states like California have set minimum wages above the federal level, providing workers with higher earnings, while in Georgia the federal minimum wage is maintained, leading to lower income for low-wage workers. States' funding of social welfare schemes differ, creating disparity in the support system. For example, New York provides generous unemployment benefits when compared to South Carolina, leaving residents without adequate support. Second, race to the bottom. Federalism can lead to race to the bottom when states compete to attract businesses and investment by lowering regulations and standards. For example, states like Texas and Delaware are known for its business-friendly laws and low corporate taxes. The competition to attract businesses and investment can destroy protections and lead to a decline in overall quality of life as states prioritize economic growth over social welfare and environmental sustainability. Third, inconsistent regulations. In a federal system, different multiple agencies may have overlapping jurisdictions, leading to various standards and requirements. This can create regulatory inconsistencies, making it difficult for businesses and individuals to comply and leading to legal conflicts. For example, federal and state agencies have authority to regulate water quality. Both have different standards for pollutants, leading to confusion among businesses about compliance. At the federal level, marijuana is illegal, but California has legalized medical cannabis while Colorado and Washington has legalized recreational use. This jurisdictional conflict leads to confusion among individuals about compliance. Fourth, lack of accountability. In a federal system, there is division of powers. This creates a large number of bureaucratic structures which leads to overlapping responsibilities, which leads to ambiguity about who is accountable for policies and programs. For example, during Hurricane Katrina, overlapping responsibilities between federal, state, and local agencies led to confusion and delayed responses, making it difficult to hold any one entity accountable for the failures. Similarly, different departments within the Veteran Affairs resulted in delays in veterans' care, making it difficult to fix accountability for failure in providing service to the veterans. Thus, by improving transparency and fostering communication between levels of government can enhance accountability. Fifth, gridlock and inefficiency. The ideological divide between Democrats and Republicans, the division of Congress into two houses, and blocking of legislation by minority senators leads to inability to reach consensus on legislation, slowing down reforms, which hinders good governance and responsiveness to public needs. For example, during COVID-19, delays in passing relief bills during critical time due to partisan disputes led to economic hardships and loss of faith in democratic institutions. Similarly, vacancies in the federal court means an imbalanced judiciary which affects the interpretation of laws, thus reducing public confidence in judicial independence. Sixth, competition. The rivalry between the president and the Congress, federal and state, state and counties, and rivalry between different federal agencies causes risk to effective governance and the health of democracy. For example, the federal government has the power to regulate immigration, but some states try to restrict immigration or increase border control. Governors Ron DeSantis of Florida and Greg Abbott of Texas have buzzed unwanted arrivals from the southern border to New York City, Washington, D.C., and Martha's Vineyard. This puts innocent people in middle of policy dispute and disrupts social service delivery. Another example is about health care. Blue states like California, New York are Democrat-led states which support enhancements to Medicare, while red states like Texas, Florida oppose expansions or reforms because it is opposed to increasing federal involvement. Another example, counties during COVID-19 wanted to limit hours of business operation and fine those not wearing masks in public. But governors of Florida, Georgia, and Texas overruled the decisions of the counties, and so the counties were unable to run their communities as they wanted to. Seventh, obstruction. When one party controls a branch of government, it may oppose legislation proposed by the opposition party. Public interest groups obstruct reform efforts by applying pressure on lawmakers, and partisan views of media outlets cause obstruction to legislation. For example, in spite of public support, attempts to pass gun control legislation have been stalled due to partisan obstruction. Another example is legislative inaction for lowering drug prices due to the pressure exerted by pharmaceutical industry. Eighth, voter disenfranchisement. The federal government advocates for more inclusive voting rights protections, while states enact laws that restrict voting access. For example, states like Georgia, Texas, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina and Indiana have strict identification requirement for voters, which impacts voter turnout among marginalized groups. Restriction on voting rights on the basis of felony convictions, limited hours for registration, complicated forms for registration, and manipulating district boundaries have an impact on voting power of specific racial or ethnic groups. Ninth, political polarization. Federalism contribute to political polarization because states with similar ideologies enact laws that differ from those in other states. Thus, this fosters division rather than unity. For example, states like Washington and California have enacted aggressive climate policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions and promoting renewable energy, while states like Texas prioritize fossil fuel industries and restrict stringent environmental regulation. While federalism aims to balance power, enhance local governance, promote political participation, accommodates diversity of opinion, allows policy innovation, these challenges can undermine democratic principles and equitable representation.